Hi, thanks for being in a new video. Realme has given us early access to the Realme GT7 Pro before its global release so we can do some testing. So let's get started. Notice that in this case, they've given us 3 pre-installed games, which is pretty much PC emulation. In this case, let's see how powerful the processor gets in conjunction with all the cooling system built into this device. Remember that it integrates the Snapdragon 8 Elite, which already has ray tracing and other functions to support some very advanced games. In this case, it is worth making the clarification that these games come through software that works in conjunction with this gamepad in China. So globally, I'm not sure about the availability of this platform for you to enjoy several of these contents. And even though some games can be run streaming, if you have accounts on other platforms, actually these games that we're going to run will be running locally emulating PC games, which is already pretty amazing. So let's run the first one, and I want you to see how I'm going to turn off Wi-Fi to make sure it's a fully on-device run. And notice how in this case I'm running content that's referred to as AAA, meaning it has much more advanced graphics than what we generally see on cell phones. The truth is that it is very interesting how it is able to run this type of content quite fluently. In this case, it goes at 45 frames per second, in fact more than 45, at times it gets very close to 50, and I repeat that in this case we are not running content in the cloud. I'm about to lose because I don't know what I'm doing driving this boat, but I want to show you how I'm going to turn off the Wi-Fi so you can see how this content is not running in the cloud, it's completely running on this device. Right now I'm trying to move through here on the boat and shooting some things, but definitely that it's very appealing how we can have this extremely advanced graphics running capability directly on this device through this emulator, which I repeat, for now I can't confirm to you its global availability because it's a device that I've been sent pre-configured from China in conjunction with this gamepad, so you can achieve this kind of super cool, super advanced execution. Hopefully there will be an announcement soon about the availability of this kind of platform globally. For now it looks like a device with extremely high capabilities, as you can tell. It definitely looks very good. The shadows, the reflections that we saw a moment ago in the water, the effects of the sky, and well, many other things. In general, as I say, we are assured that this device has a lot of power to run this type of content. But what do you think if we run some other applications or games rather that we have installed to test on this device? As you could realize, everything running directly without internet connection executed locally on this device that has exaggeratedly good graphics. Now notice that we have opened Final Fantasy and we are going to start a new campaign in a normal difficulty mode. Personally, I've never played this content, so apologies if I'm not that knowledgeable. But note that all of this is already being rendered directly on the device, running close to 30 frames per second, and considering the level of graphics it's integrating, it's spectacular to see how it's able to run all of this on the device. So let's wait a bit for it to load the whole game to show a more advanced stage. I must insist that the graphics look simply spectacular with cinematic style and this kind of features. At times you do see a little stumble in the frames per second, which in fact at the same time confirms to us that this is all being executed directly here on the device. I would like to fast forward this. I already found out that it was by holding down the Y key to be able to fast forward the whole presentation and introduction, so let's go straight to the game now. And ready, here it is. Watch, it looks spectacular. The reflections on the ground, the blurs, even the smoke and other details confirm that in this case we are in front of a highly capable device. Let's see, let's try to play and let's see if we are able to do something. And there it is, we're already playing a little bit better. We were just learning how to use the controls, but look at how cool all those explosions and everything else looks. It's amazing to see this on a cell phone. Hopefully these games can be available soon in the entire catalog of devices to be able to test the performance that more models have. In this case, it is very good performance, 30 frames per second. I connected to the internet for a moment so I could open the game and start it, but I'm going offline so you can see how even offline it keeps running the content, just to confirm that it's not in the cloud, because it's impressive to run this content without it being a streaming game or something like that. So watch how the execution continues right now, and we're still moving forward. Let's see, it's teaching me. It's still the tutorial part, so I'm having a little bit of a slow process here, but notice that the hits and the blurs that are generated as you're running all of this are just spectacular. Let's see if you allow me to use some special skills around here, and there it is. Watch. And even with a little slow motion on the effects, we see all of this very advanced. And well, it continues to show me here some things to consider in all this initial stage of the game. But here the interesting thing is that it has maintained a performance very close to 30 frames per second, so we can perfectly have a good gameplay in this case of this AAA content. Okay, I finished the short run of Final Fantasy. Let's see what the heating is like. It's at 39.8 degrees Celsius, 40. It's actually stayed relatively cool. In this case, the gamepad incorporates a fan, but I don't have it plugged in, so the fan is completely off. Finally, we're going to run GTA 5, and I say finally in these tests. So notice how we're now playing GTA. In this case, it's running at over 60 frames per second. And again, with graphics that we usually don't see present on computers. So it's really nice to see these capabilities, as I was saying. Now with other content, although obviously being, let's say, emulated from PC, it is not taking advantage of the full width of the screen, but here what we are testing is the ability of this processor to emulate these contents, including all the effects of reflections. Look at the reflection here, how some of the lights that are present in this room are reflected on the floor. But what do you think if, in addition to testing this type of emulated games, we now test some that are in the Google Play Store catalog globally? So first we played about 5 minutes or so of Arena Breakout. And the truth is that this device goes great, completely fluid, very stable, the graphics look very nice, but what most caught my attention is that the temperature was controlled very well. We did the same with another game called Rainbow Six. We were trying to look for games with heavy graphics, so if you know of another one, let me know in the comments. But as far as I understand, this game can also become complex for some devices. However, this realme device with the Snapdragon Elite definitely have spectacular performance. Again, the temperature was very controlled. It barely got down to 1 degree Celsius after all this time playing, so it definitely performs very well. Then we played Genshin Impact with a little bit longer ascent, and again the same experience. We set everything to the max to make sure it was the most challenging test, and the game runs very smooth, very loose. It does fluctuate, but its low peaks are still really very high in terms of frames per second, and in this case temperature controlled at 36.3 degrees Celsius. I think it's a tremendous machine for anything to do with gaming. We then ran other content with ray tracing, to start with War Thunder, which is going to show us excellent graphics quality again. These are some of the heaviest games I have encountered, and again, it doesn't seem to cause any kind of inconvenience to this device, which runs quite smoothly and without problems. In this case, the temperature came to rise a little higher, however it is still an acceptable level talking about a smartphone. It reached up to 43.8 degrees Celsius. It was the game that heated this device the most, but it is still below 45 degrees Celsius, which is when we would already consider it a much more noticeable heating. And finally, we also played Car X Street, another of the complicated games that apparently have ray tracing, and the graphics look great, the reflections on the vehicle, the lights, the pavement, and more. The truth is that it is one of the best Android games in terms of graphics, and this experience was positive again. A game of just over 5 minutes, and the temperature was 38.5 degrees Celsius. So it's very clear that this device is very good at everything that has to do with graphics performance. It's very powerful and it has a very good cooling system. And finally, we are running the Antutu benchmark. Let's wait for the final result to tell you the score. And that's it. It finished with 2,727,376 points, showing that it is quite powerful. But this was just a first glimpse of the performance of this device. For the moment, we have reached the end of this video. If you liked it, you know you can tell us about it, and we'll see you next time.